Okay, go again with an episode of Felons Talk. And when I left off the other day, I was telling you guys about Okie Bob and the crazy shit he did while he was in Marion, uh, uh, eating the drugs and getting that guy a hung jury or whatever. They threw the case out. So the guy, he beat the case, basically. Anyway, Bob and Eddie Vaughn ended up stabbing that dude in general population in Marion because that guy had insinuated that Eddie Vaughn was a snitch, which he was, but they stabbed him anyway. And after that, Okie Bob was transferred to Atlanta, and that's where I first met him. Anyway, when he got there, he asked for a knife. My co-defendant gave him one, right? And he was doing his thing. And one day a guy came to him and said, "Hey, aren't you Eddie Vaughn's friend?" He said, "Yeah, why?" He said, "Man, Eddie Vaughn's been in the hat for a while. You know, uh, anybody who rolls with him is also in the hat. And Barry Mills is on his way to Atlanta right now. If I was you, I'd think about what you're going to do when he gets here because he's not going to have you on his compound walking around knowing that you're a friend of Eddie Vaughn's." Well, one thing led to another, and Okie Bob ended up getting caught with that knife that my co-defendant gave him, and I believe he did it on purpose. I believe he made sure that he had gotten caught with that knife so that he could go to the segregation unit and get transferred. I don't think he wanted to be around when Barry Mills showed up. He was scared. And even though Okie was a dangerous guy, by himself, he wasn't as dangerous as all that. Uh, he was dangerous when he was with Eddie Vaughn because Eddie Vaughn was dangerous. So the last thing I heard about Okie Bob was that he had been transferred to, of all places, Butner, North Carolina, which is it's like a PC camp, you know. Uh, and they say it's a pretty nice place to do time as well. He'd be in his 80s, middle 80s, if he was still alive. Uh, okay, that's it for Okie Bob. Uh, I wanted to talk about Big Ron Perrin. Everybody says Big Ronnie Perrin. I know Ronnie Perrin, and he's not big. I don't know why. I've never heard anybody call him Big Ron Perrin. I've heard him call him Ronnie. Uh, I never heard anybody say Big Ron Perrin. But if you look in these YouTube or online, people always refer to him as Big Ronnie Perrin. I think he might have been like an inch shorter than me, and I'm 5'9.5". So anyway, Ronnie got rolled up with Alan Reed and Danny Kavanaugh for the murder of Vincent Pappas. Vincent Pappas was one of the French Connection guys who was involved in the theft of, multiple kilos of heroin from the police evidence room in New York City. And he was a multimillionaire. He had been involved in moving heroin most of his adult life. He was a big player in that shit. Anyway, he was supposed to be cooperating with the feds, and that is the reason why Herbie Sperling put the the murder contract out on him. Now, Herbie also got indicted. Herbie, Alan Reed, Ronnie Perrin, and Danny Kavanaugh all got indicted. What used to blow my mind was that even though they locked up Alan Reed and Danny Kavanaugh and Herbie Sperling, Ronnie stayed in general population. So I don't know why that happened that way, but I'm not saying he cooperated or anything like that, but he didn't go to the hole with those guys immediately after the murder happened. He stayed in general population for a while. I'm not sure why. But they did end up transferring him to Marion. And Alan Reed and Danny Kavanaugh were in the control unit. And they all went to trial back in Atlanta. And a lot of times when you go to trial in Atlanta for a murder or anything, they wouldn't keep you in the Atlanta Federal Penitentiary. They put you downtown in Fulton County, or they might send you out to Cobb County, or one of the surrounding counties in around the Atlanta metro area there. I forget what county they sent him to. Little Ron Perrin, I call him Little Ron. Little Ronnie Perrin escaped before the trial, and the trial went on without him because he was gone. He wasn't there. So they convicted the guys. They convicted Alan Reed, and they convicted Danny Kavanaugh, and they convicted Herbie Sperling of the murder. But almost like within about 2 months after this trial was completed, these guys got a reversal and they threw the case out. There was not going to. So when they finally did catch Ronnie Perrin from escape, I don't remember where they caught him, but they caught him. He'd been out a few months. When he got out, when he got picked up, they decided they weren't even going to prosecute him for the murder because the case had already been turned over by the appellate court, and they weren't going to prosecute. They weren't going to prosecute the guys. They have an opportunity. Do you want to re-prosecute them, or just forget about it? And they choose to forget about it. So Ronnie never got tried or convicted for that murder. And like I say, Herbie and Danny Kavanaugh and Alan Reed had their convictions overturned. So there was, they didn't get anything for doing that killing. Danny Kavanaugh went to Leavenworth, and within a few weeks, in fact, it was before the murder, before the conviction was overturned. Danny Kavanaugh overdosed on heroin in Leavenworth and passed away. He died. Alan Reed, not sure where they sent him. Maybe they went to Lewisburg or something. But eventually he was released from prison because he didn't have any time left. He was already on the short end of his sentence. And which was lucky for him that he didn't, that they overturned it, because otherwise he'd have got a life sentence for that. And from what I understand, Alan Reed died in his mother's living room from a heart attack several months after he got out of prison. Ronnie Perrin, when they finally caught him and brought him back, he, I don't know what they did with the escape charge, but he only had like 2 years left on his sentence. and he was released. Okay, so Ronnie never really got much of a punishment out of that at all. But one thing I will say, and this is, I remember this vividly, Barry Mills was really upset that Ronnie Perrin had claimed to be in the Aryan Brotherhood. Uh, and he wanted to put uh, Ronnie Perrin in check. He was waiting for him to come to the control unit so he could brace him and say, "What's this I hear you're telling people you're in the Aryan Brotherhood?" Uh, he said he was not in the Aryan Brotherhood and he shouldn't be, telling people that he was. Danny Kavanaugh was definitely. Alan Reed was definitely, but for some reason, which I don't know the particulars of, uh, Barry was saying that he's not AB, and he shouldn't be saying that he is. And I don't guess Barry ever got a chance to brace him because he never did come back to Marion after he was captured from escape. Okay. Uh, the next thing I want to tell you about is yesterday. Yesterday, man, I was calling Xfinity, right? I thought I was calling Xfinity. I got the number off the Google. I Google their customer support number, and I call them up, and I'm trying to pay my bill, right, over the phone, and something ain't right. Something ain't right. The guy's taking forever. He's asking a bunch of questions that they don't usually ask, and he doesn't seem like he really knows what he's doing, and he's fumbling around, and then we get disconnected. Well, I start getting this call from Texas. Some number in Texas is giving me a call. So, you know, he called me like 5 times in a row. I don't know anybody in Texas, but they kept calling me, calling me, calling me. So I answered it. It was the guy from Xfinity. Since we had got cut off, he was calling me back from his private phone number, right? Something started. I remember hearing that they never do this. If somebody does this, this is a scam. This guy's on a scam mission. And something about the way he had been handling my situation led me to believe that he was like a what do you call it? Arab, not Arab, Indian accent, East Indian accent. And I just got real suspicious, man. And at that very moment, my bank sends me a text message asking me whether I approve this purchase on my account, which was only a $4 or $5 purchase. I said no, right? And that very moment, I locked my account. I said, no, these people are fucking with me. They're getting ready to, because that's what they do. They make a little small debit to your account to try it out to see if it's going to work, and then they come in and they try to grab a lot of money. So anyway, make a long story short, I tried to call the guy back. He wouldn't answer. Then I get a call from another guy from Texas, same area code, and I answer. I said, "Yeah, what's up, man?" He said, "Well, I'm the." I said, "No. You're not a fucking customer support specialist. You're a thief. You're trying to scam me, bro. I know what you're doing." And he's like, "Oh no, sir. I don't know what you're talking about. We are customer support specialists for." I said, "No, you're not, man. You're not. I know you're not." So we go back and forth a minute, and I said, "Listen, dude, I've been a thief my whole life. Okay, uh, I know better. I already know, man. You blew it when you started calling me from a private number. I already that's in your face bullshit. It's not like how they operate, and it's a known fact. So I already know you're a scam artist. I said I spent 30 years in prison. So the guy said, "What?" I said, "Yeah, I spent 30 years in prison." I said, "I'm a thief too." I says, and so he starts laughing. He said, "Man," he said, "the hell you do 30 years for?" I said, "Oh, man, a bunch of stuff, man." So we start talking, right? And he more or less admitted, he said, "Yeah, can't get you, but we get a lot of people, you know." And I said, "I should come to work for you, man." I said, "I probably make a lot of money because I don't have an Indian accent like you do. I have an American accent. People will probably trust me more because I sound like an American." You know what he told me? He said, "That don't make no difference, man." He said, "We get a lot of people." He said, you wouldn't believe how much money." He said, "I've made up to $5,000 in one day." I said, "No shit." Yeah. And then he hung up after he said it. So anyway, to make a long story short, uh, I I tried to call the first guy back again. He wouldn't answer. So I sent him a text message. I said, "Listen, man," I said, "you're really not very good at this scam bullshit, are you?" Uh, I said, "You'll never get my money." I said, "Here's what I'll give you, though." And I sent him a picture of my dick. I did. I took a picture of my dick and sent it to him in a text message. Anyway, little vulgarity there, you know. And and the last thing I want to talk about today is what blew my mind when I got out of prison. The thing that really blew my mind. Uh, the world had changed a lot in 30 years. Racial situations seemed like there was more integration between the races out in the free world. And in prison, I had always lived the same way all the years that I was in there. I always eat with white people, I sell with white people. We just, we still get along with blacks and other races, but we uh, we maintain our own uh, integrity, as you will, by only living and eating and interacting with white people, and you know, uh, and that's just how it was. So for 30 years, I lived the same way. When I went in, it was 1974. I got out, it was 2003. There was a lot of changes that had been made in society as far as racial integration went, and that kind of surprised me a lot. And what really blew my mind was I had never seen an Indian in my life ever. Okay, I've lived in as a child. I grew up in Paterson, New Jersey, 20 miles from New York City. Uh, I've lived in New York. I've stayed in Los Angeles. I've been in Miami. I've traveled all over the country as a young man. Uh, Never once have I ever seen an Indian from East India in the United States, ever. When I got out, every Dunkin' Donuts, uh, every 7-Eleven, uh, every cheap motel, uh, hot sheets, we call them hot sheet motels, uh, all of these were owned and operated, and gas stations were all owned and operated by Indians. And it blew my fucking mind. I said, "Where the fuck did you come from, man?" I mean, it's just like I've never seen these people before. And yet here they had accumulated a piece of society and businesses, and we're doing and we're profiting greatly, you know, and I don't have any problem with it. It just blew my mind a little bit when I got out, because I'd never seen anything like that before. So those are the things that really were things I had to get used to when I first got out of prison, and it, didn't take me long. Uh, but it was an experience, it was something I had to grow into, you know what I mean? And yeah, so and that's it for today. I'll be back the day after tomorrow with another episode of Felons Talk. Please comment and like, subscribe, and I'm going to leave my Cash App in the description if you guys want to send me any money. I'm on the process of getting my channel monetized. Actually, it is monetized, but I still got to take a lot of different steps to make it happen. It's like, uh, and I need help with that because I don't really know how to, like for instance, I'm doing this show. I got a brand new computer sitting right next to me, but I'm using my pad uh, to to record the show just like I always do. And the reason for that is I haven't really learned how to operate the computer successfully yet. So that's coming up. There's stuff I got to learn, and then I'm going to learn a little editing and stuff like that too. And hopefully, you guys will be staying with me, and I'll be back day after tomorrow with another episode of Felons Talk.